Okay, so welcome to the workshop Cryptostamps and Resource Mobilization Innovation for Youth Climate Action with the Dubai Blockchain Center. We are delighted to welcome everyone here. It is a very important event because we are presenting a systemic innovation which shall help to channel financial resources on the local level from the citizens to local projects on city level, but also on a global level from the cities and from the people in the global north to the global south to channeling financial resources to youth-led impactful action. So next slide, please. I will present some ideas, and then we have these wonderful people from the Blockchain Center, UAE Post Authority, Climate Geek, MCH Global, who will interact with us in a discussion. And we have friends also from Kenya. And you are from where? India also. Bravo. So yeah, and we will try to outline an action plan so that we will really make a nail with heads, and that we will then get things done over the next 18 months or so. Next slide, please. So the starting point for today's event is that my organization, IAI Glotcher, is looking how can we get everyone engaged in SDGs action, in climate action, and how can we create the tools that people can report what they are doing, that these actions can be verified, certified, and then also used for incentivization, climate entrepreneurship, and gamification. And we have within the UN system, at the UN headquarters in New York with UN Habitat, we have announced that we are going to be the leaders in bringing together an consortium of solution providers which will help us to deliver a solution ecosystem for digital identities, because if we want to know who is doing what around the world, we have to uniquely identify them. We have an app developed in the Interreg Central Europe project for challenges mapping. We need to have tools where people can identify and specify challenges in their neighborhoods to really get a shared understanding of what is the problem, what can be done, what is the intervention logic, and also what kind of impact can be created. Based on this, we can then have really a framework for supporting, developing pathways to action, and then supporting it. And we need a global challenges action registry. When people are doing something on the local level for the global goals, this needs to be saved somewhere and made accessible in a global registry. And it's not existing yet. The UN system, our global challenges response institution, is not delivering it because they have in their institutional logic that they have to focus on national authorities. And the non-state actors, the individual citizen, the young person, they don't have an entry point, they don't have the tools, and we are trying to fill this gap, and therefore the International Association for the Advancement of Innovative Approaches. So we have here, we are based in Austria. We are accredited to the United Nations through the UN Economic and Social Council, through the UNFCCC, Department for Global Communication, and we are also an observer in the Green Climate Fund, the international community's biggest financial instrument. And we believe that when we get our vision implemented, then we will be able to make the connection between the hundreds of millions or even billions that the Green Climate Fund has and the local action, let's say in Kenya or in India. And this is the aim, empowering everyone everywhere to take meaningful and rewarding climate action. Next slide, please. And I'm also the strategic director of the Climate Change Coalition. It's the world's oldest and leading multi-stakeholder partnership for harnessing the potentials of blockchain technology for climate action. It was co-founded by the UNFCCC, and there also we are looking on how to build the digital tools and bring solution providers together for systemic solutions for citizens' climate action empowerment. So there are several solutions that are needed for really this ecosystem to function. And today we are looking at digital finance, at Cryptostamps. It's a key component systemically. So I've showed you already, this is something that we have placed already in the UN system at our event that we've had at the UN headquarters in New York in September this year. And we have said we are going to be the leaders developing this individual SDGs app. And this app is also what we believe that this kind of good life app, individual climate action dashboard app, this should be on everyone's mobile devices. That's the place where we can connect the individual with the global goals, with the UN system, and we have to make it attractive, and therefore it is about the digital badges collection. And here now we are coming to the topic of the Cryptostamp session. So we have the challenge that there are young people around the world which have huge potentials to help their local and global community in the fight against the climate crisis. They are open to new ideas, they are generating new ideas, they are pathfinders, they can, on the internet or anywhere else, they can see, oh, in a neighboring community or in a different country, something has worked. I want to implement it also locally, but they don't have the funding. That's one part of the challenge and the other part is that there are people, let's say in Austria, where I'm from, who say, wow, the crisis is big and I have money, but I know if nothing happens, it's like throwing the money in the fire because everything will be destroyed. I want to do something and I'm ready to give money. But there is no connection between these two players currently. Next slide, please. And so we believe that Cryptostamps can be the bridge between these players. And you know that there have been stamps used as a value transfer and for charitable fundraising, for UNICEF, and this is all good. But the problem here is also that if I buy a stamp, UNICEF is different, but if it's especially for an NGO or so, a program, I don't know where the money is going to. I have to trust the post authority that it has picked the right partner, and the post authority needs to trust the partner. But at the end, there's a big question mark. But with Cryptostamps now, we can overcome this problem. And really, next slide, please. We can harness the full potentials of these Web3 technologies that we can, on the one hand, attribute this purchase of the Cryptostamp to a digital identity. So it's clear I have been the one who have given this contribution. Then it's clear, and with this key, the NFT, unique identifier, private keys, and so we can give people the tool that they can choose to which project the money is going. And then in the Global Challenges Action Registry, next slide, please, we can then also put information about the okay, two slides further. More. One more. Yeah, so Global Challenges Action Registry, where we have the entry about the purchase of the NFT, then we have information about the projects that are funded and the relational information that the purchase of the Cryptostamp has made possible the project, and then another entry about the activities and the outcomes. And then at the end, the one who has purchased the Cryptostamp can be attributed the activities and the impact that the projects have generated. And this is a total new level of philanthropy, democratization of philanthropy, and people will feel empowered. On the one hand, those who are buying this, they say, okay, I can support really the causes that I want, and the young people around the world, because they will get funding. And these systems, we have the partnerships with the UN system, we can connect it with the UNFCCC Global Climate Action Data Portal. It's for non-state actors. and with other information systems as well. So this can be really a big um, game-changing systemic innovation for the UN system with many applications beyond climate. It can be used for any SDG support, and it can be also used for supporting climate action on the city level, because there are, for instance, Climate Kick is involved in EU mission cities, cities which want to be pioneers, very much advanced, being among the first to implement, to achieve climate neutrality goals. And often these cities administrations don't have money, but they are very ambitious, motivated citizens. And if the citizens then have this tool that they can channel money towards projects in their city, then there will be more projects and better accomplishment. And then if you go back 3 slides, please, then we, 2 more. Yeah. So it is adding some magic to this thing, because it's now still relatively technical. And we have this initiative, Digital Art for Climate, through which we are organizing an art and music competition. It was pre-launched here on the 8th of December, and the full launch will be on the 30th of January in New York on a side event to the UN Partnership Forum. And it's also already bringing these NFTs based innovations. If you go to next slide. Yeah, and with this initiative, we've been at the UN headquarters. You see there in the middle down our exhibit that we've had at the UN Conference Center building. And we've been in Shibuya, in Tokyo, on this big billboards, because people love it. And our winners have been on CNN. It's, and as sometimes used to say, it's for technology adoption, for this NFT, Web3 technology, which is still, I would say, 95% of the population are not really, somehow really using. And so this digital art for climate will be the magic and the attractor to get. They will say, oh, this is so beautiful, I want to have this collectible, and then they are setting up their wallet and this kind of things. So this will be part of the magic, so to say, and edutainment shows. We are also going to set up a digital TV channel based on, with a stream on this artwork and the stories of the artists and creators, but also with stories, another channel with these climate entrepreneurs who are receiving funding, and they will then report about what they're doing so that it's more clear. And so next slides. So there are lots of opportunities. I didn't have really time to work on it further, but what we are offering what is unique to us is that we have this, so to say, the keys to the UN. We understand the UN. We know how to set up a digital innovation pavilion at the COP. We know how to have events in September, the week before the UN high-level events. And so we are offering this now to the UAE post authorities, and in partnership with Dubai Blockchain Center and partners like Climate Kick, that you could be the champion and bringing all those who can contribute to this, and then having this presented at the UN as a UAE championed solution. This is a key thing. We have here also, in terms of what the money could be used for, we have some solutions on NFTs, Web3 technology-based innovative climate action learning and digital skills development. It's a program that could be brought to schools for Web3 adoption. And I think this has very high potentials because it's entertaining and it helps build skills that are also important for these kids, for these youngsters to become, to have their livelihoods covered. So next one. And yeah, it's further down. Yeah, that's the contact, it's fine. So this is the presentation that we how we see crypto stamps can be used for innovative resource mobilization program and with the partnership of UAE post authorities, bringing it also to the Universal Postal Union and bring boarding on other post authorities, that we set up a solution and a platform which can be used by post authorities from all around the world and connecting it with the UN. And with this, I close my part and give it to Dr. Marwan, who has led this project of bringing crypto stamps also to the UAE.
Thank you. Thank you, Miro. So would just like to thank you first for this opportunity, and I just want to highlight a little bit about who we are at the Dubai Blockchain Center and what we do, and how does that tie into the crypto stamps project. So we started Dubai Blockchain Center back in 2018. The aim of the center is to create an ecosystem where blockchain is used for real life kind of uses and make the most out of technology. And we realize there are three value takes from blockchain. One is record keeping and authorization, one is smart contracts, and the third one is value exchange without a trusted third party. But what we realize as well is it's a huge opportunity for track and trace. One of the most applicable use cases, financial services, but also there's digital identity that can play a huge role within the blockchain space. And also NFTs came out at a later point in time and really changed the game completely. Digital ownership is extremely important. Not only that, but being able to have provenance for where your money went, or how your money is being utilized, and how you can trace or what is known as know your transactions is extremely important, and especially for the charity kind of or philanthropist causes. This has been a problem throughout the years, where people donate their money and they don't know where that money goes. So with blockchain technology, you can trace that. Also, for the goods that are produced or for carbon offset, blockchain can play a huge role. When it comes to crypto stamps or NFT stamps, we started ideation with Abeid actually, and the CEO, Abdullah Al-Ashram, in the early days of NFTs. And we were actually looking for a partner, and they suggested the Austrian Post as well. So we started our first project with them, and it was a successful project. We focused on the UAE National Day, and I think I'll leave it to Abed to tell you more about that. And then we put a strategy forward as well to see what we're going to do next. Now, we haven't, and I will leave it to Abed to tell you more about the strategy, but we haven't discussed per se to use it for climate action, but so we are open to these ideas. And I think the space is so moving rapidly that you will find even the first initial idea might pivot to something else. I'll give you an example. So we started also, I saw on your slides as well, the proof of attendance. So we started also with something called soul-bound tokens. And we started with Dubai Electronic Security Center for not only people attending our classes, but passing our classes. So proof of passing a class as well. Yes, accomplishment, and also that includes gamification. So anybody who actually attends the class and gets an achievement within the class, he gets a special badge as well, in addition to passing or attending a class. So all these kind of gamification is extremely important, because we have right now digital kind of native people with the Z generation or Generation Z that is actually, loves, and actually their dopamine is actually based on electronic kind of achievements more than real life achievements. Yes, they will go and do kind of on the ground work with recycling, with a lot of other climate based actions, but they can flex. It's called the digital flex right nowadays. they can flex their badges not in the physical world, but through apps or through their social profile and through their posts. So this is extremely important, and extremely important for not only engagement, but also to keep them engaged by achievements that are in the digital realm. That's it for me, and I think you guys are doing an amazing work, and I leave it to Abed to tell you their sort of story and narrative.
Thank you, Dr. Marwan, and it's honestly an honor and a pleasure. I mean, to be here today with all the people here talking about the climate and how they really can change and make the life is different, okay, for the next generations. Our stories is it's a bit like maybe shared by Dr. Marwan. As an Emirates Post Group, we thought about honoring our first golden jubilee of doing something unique, something different. That was the idea of creating the first NFT in the region and for the UAE to really honor the 50 year of the establishment of this country. And from there, actually, we're thinking about how the NFT really make the change and life of many different postals around the world. And from that side, we're working together with the Dubai Blockchain Center to really develop a Web3 and a blockchain strategy for the Emirates Poster Group, along for the next phase of the transformation that Emirates Poster Group is working to really look into what's the next that happen in logistics. And honestly, that is by itself, it's a different, a different, I would say, scope of the business, how we're really thinking about it, because you are tapping into a kind of a blue ocean, okay, of a new need of the market, the new need of the citizen, the new need of the new generations, okay, in terms of the technology and the blockchain and everything. Nevertheless, as Dr. Maybe Marwan mentioned, we were thinking about how the NFT really make the change of that part. So the first NFT stamp was, as I mentioned, thinking about how to honor the country, how to really make a different change of the normal stamps that used to be collected by the people as a collectible. So we're thinking about, okay, what's next on the collectible parts? How we can incubate the new generation and the youth, okay, into the stamps collection, and how that can really be starting to be really changing the stamps from what it's as of today, because most of the generation that used to collect the stamps or maybe to use it as a saving bank, okay, box, okay, really changed to be evolving into a new change of a blockchain and as well as new contracts, okay, to really be happening and working into the crypto world. Of course, the regulations and legislation of the things that happen within the UAE really helped us a lot to really put a lot of the plans and ideas within our strategy that we are moving forward right now to really build it within the Emirates Postal Group. Now, the main idea we were thinking about it is how we can really contribute from a climate change. And while we are here today thinking about it, we are going to host the next Congress in 2025 for the Universal Postal Union. And that's where 192 countries will be coming here to Dubai again, okay, to really talk about the future of the post and how the post can be really evolving, okay, the needs of the citizen, and how the new action need to be really put in a place, and a strategy can be put in a place as Dubai cycle strategy from 2026 till 2029 to really look into what's the next for the postal world. So we're thinking about so many areas to really think about it, and looking into also how the world moving into the changes within the environmental and other areas. We are also engaging ourselves to really putting the strategy of the blockchain into how it can really enhance the eco-friendly practice within the postal and logistics. So more of ideas that will be there in terms of an eco packaging that can really incentivize our customers, okay, and really make sure the postal customers worldwide can be really incentivized and to use an eco-friendly packaging to really be reused, okay, for the second and third time, okay, for their e-commerce and cross borders items, and how we can also work into reduce the emission carbon by really getting more initiatives in that area. Now, how that can be used within the crypto, how that can be really implemented within the crypto stamps. It's something that we really need to really link it within the strategy that we are working right now. And that's where I think from our prospect will be more of knowing exactly and be more transparent on exactly the blockchain, knowing exactly the supply chain moving from a country to another and how much it's really costing when it is as an emission. So that will give us a real indication and a real time indication on how much is the shipments really make a difference within the world. And the crypto stamps can really work in two sides, either as an incentivized program, okay, for all those customers to really be working into a kind of setting of how they can contribute for all of their shipment to be sent, or to really also know more as a transparent for the world how that really affect and the customer to really start to monitor and seeing okay how they should contribute, because the contribution should not only coming from the companies, the contribution should come from the communities, from the business players, from the citizen. They need to really be more an awareness in how this can be changed. So these kind of things we think about it into the crypto. Don't take too long from that talks, but definitely we will work together, okay, with the Dubai Blockchain Center as well as the partners among worldwide to really build a climate action, okay, for the postal world in the next Congress in 2025.
Beautiful. Could you perhaps also mention this strategy that has been put out by Raoul and said the COP should not end somehow? When we had the preparatory consultation, I thought it was a very beautiful statement.
Yeah, that was a quote. Maybe we are talking about it on a side today,
Yeah.
saying the COP should not stop by Dubai. There are a strategy now. The government and the cabinet has released 2 days ago a lot of circulars, a lot of decisions in how the governmentals and private sectors in UAE need to really put a lot of efforts towards in playing a real world, a real work in terms of the climate. And many actions will be put as KPIs to really monitor the contribution from the companies. And therefore, the statement, as I mentioned, the COP will never end by today. The COP will continue, okay, as a spirit within the UAE to really shows the world the practice that UAE been taking into their shoulders to really move forward within our country as as a nation, but also to bring this practice for the region and for the world.
That's very beautiful. Thank you very much. And I would really be very happy if we could be your partner on this journey. So then let's give the word to Oscar. You are now with MCH Global. Before you have been with the Dubai World Trade Center and organizing the Future Blockchain Summit. What are your somehow impressions or thoughts when you see this initiative, also in light with the music project perhaps that you are doing with Fernando Garibay, and the technology adoption perhaps also in general? How can we reach everyone?
I've had the great joy of seeing the stamp project, the NFT stamp project, come to life over the last couple of years. And it was announced at the Future Blockchain Summit with Abdullah Al-Rashram, the group CEO, who's also been deeply involved in this. And it's become a global project very quickly and very pioneering. And I was so happy to hear, Miroslav, that you are also involved with on the Austrian side, and to really see the potential. I think many times when you look at NFTs, it's a gimmick and it's something that's just a fun add-on. And we've seen such a hype around NFTs for the last couple of years. But especially when you look at so many different counterparties when it comes to to the global postal delivery system to be able to track and see how how the logistics work. But then in terms of the postal service and the use for raising funds, I mean, my whole life, the Swedish Post Office has always done fundraising for UNICEF and Save the Children. And what I really like about that is that it allows you to express what you care about. Like many of the programs that you have in Sweden is that you buy the stickers. They have no actual value, but they sort of add flavor to your letters and express your where you stand. And what I think is the great potential with this NFT project with stamps is that it really enables a global community to come together. This is a global problem, and art and music and what you're bringing with this 2024 adding music, and now that myself and Fernando Garibay are going to be part of this in creating music in Austria and New York. And I really want to see how we can explore this to use the NFT stamps, not just to be raising funds, but to really expand the communication between communities.
Beautiful thoughts. Thank you very much. Yeah, and it's really, as you're highlighting the role of community, it's important that we develop the app on the one hand, but also then these digital collectibles that people can take action. Because when there is, for instance, you mentioned the cooperation with Fernando Garibay, and we are going to have an edutainment show, a first small one in Austria in the context of our Glotcha Co-Creation Festival on the 5th of June. But then we will try to have a bigger one at the UN headquarters in New York. And then people are excited. It's like an emotional tsunami that's coming over the people, and they say, what can I do? What can I do? And they very often don't have the options and the tools and the crypto stamps to really engage. And then this excitement is over, and it's over. And it's a lost opportunity. But if we then combine our edutainment programs, our community events, and tell people you can use the app, you can connect with a global community, you can build your legacy and your identity with these crypto stamps by the collection, whatever you choose as a artwork that will be associated with it. It tells a lot about you and your identity, but also the projects that you will support. This is really a global identity building, and it's forming a community. And just briefly to show the audience who don't know yet how a crypto stamp looks like. So this is the Austrian example. They have been really also financially very successful. For instance, the third edition that they had, they have printed 100,000 crypto stamps. It costs each €9.90, and I haven't been in Klagenfurt near a post office, so I told my wife, can you go to the post office when they will start on that day? And she went there in the afternoon and said, everything is sold. Even when I called around the post office, they said, everything is sold. So they have sold in one day crypto stamps worth €990,000. And so it's really a high potential for resource mobilization. And you have here a stamp which can even be taken down and put on an envelope as a standard stamp. And then in the back there is covered the unique identifier of the NFT with the private key with which you can then transfer it to your wallet and your collections. And it's also this version here has already an NFC, so it's that you can already still, when it's packed, you can come with the phone, get the signal from the NFC, and that you see what kind of crypto stamp has it been activated already. And so as a physical and digital asset, it is really very interesting. I loved it. When I the first time heard about crypto stamps, I said, "Wow, that's so high potential." Yeah, and high potential climate kick is the high potential institution also in the European Union, advancing innovation, enabling cities and communities and different stakeholders to have transformative climate action. And what are your thoughts in this resource mobilization, innovation approach?
Thank you very much, Miro, and thank you for the opportunity to participate in a conversation live. Maybe just a couple of explanations on where I'm reflecting from. Climate Kick, the KIC stands for Knowledge Innovation Community. It's Europe's largest community and agency for climate action in the form of innovation that are solutions for mitigation and solutions for adaptation. But our focus is particularly on how do you combine those solutions in such a way as to create systemic change outcomes. And that very concretely meaning the decarbonization of cities as a whole, the decarbonization and resilience of bioregions, land use, landscape practices. So combining very many elements together. And that's why the word community matters so much, because it's not only the individual solution in, for example, waste or water or bio-based materials or energy infrastructure, fiscal incentives, but how do they come together to construct alternative and new economies, livelihoods, well-being, and places of human settlement that are inherently sustainable at multiple levels and sustainable over time. So I am extremely interested in any kind of mechanism that can mobilize resources for individual actors into collective action and into partnership and collective action with institutional forms of support and institutional change, so that we bring together a system of change that does provide alternatives to the way we are living and working in the world now. Because I see the challenges. We can state what is needed in terms of change, but without a viable alternative to begin to invest larger and larger forms of resource into, it's very, very difficult to mobilize that action into something lasting and structural. My reflection on this is a couple of just listening to this particularly rich set of discussions. I come from a background of working in insurance. So provenance matters enormously. Being able to track and trace the origins of things, whether that's the origins of wood that has been sustainably forested or not, and the origins of sustainable forestry, for example, actually connecting to sustainable community development and livelihoods. So being able to work right back through to, are we creating mechanisms of active incentives for people to keep working in sustainable ways close to land and in community, right through to proof of outcome, proof of a transaction actually resulting in an outcome. We see particularly with the current debates in carbon markets and carbon offsets, we desperately need elements that enable us to look at a full system of outcomes and be confident, and above all build confidence, so that then larger financial flows can begin to encourage and make connections between, as you rightly said, enormous amounts of capital looking for transformation and micro level engagement and action, which is where the difference is made by local actors. So I think creating a system that is extremely granular and hyperlocal, and at the same time capable of aggregation at regional, national, and global scales, is immensely important. If that is based on a mechanism and a principle of radical transparency, so that you can see this at any point, and that it then connects to, for example, SDG stock takes and the connection between multi-level action and multi-level governance, that's essential. I think the second reflection I would have listening to your point is, this is very much about raising awareness about a positioning of self, an identity of self. What do I most care about? Is it the environment? Is it the natural environment? Is it social cohesion? Is it justice? How do I position myself in a world of interventions that are all needed and can identify with some form of collectible? So if what I was referring to earlier is like the flow of transactions that are doing good, this is the stocks of kind of self-identification. I identify with, I want to buy something that keeps reminding me that this is what I care about. So that notion of collectibles is interesting. I believe that we really do need to reintegrate art and science. So I think there is a way here of exploring how do we take the notion of a collectible and do something more serious with it in terms of the way in which we reintegrate what I care for, how I care for, how it helps reinforce a narrative of becoming and living sustainably as an aspirational outcome, something that I literally wish to paint and depict around me. How does digital art relate into that? How do stamps create collectibles for that? I think there's an important element to unpack and to progress with this initiative in terms of an alternative currency of exchange in terms of real economy transformative acts. So how do we create a global currency of value exchanged, regeneration, restoration, intergenerational respect, the honoring and exchange of what we do in this generation to try and pass forward and to repair the damage that we have done? Can that become a global currency? And that, of course, means that I think the Postal Service is a genius move, because this is the one institution that is genuinely affordable, accessible, and present globally in ways that every generation understands and can relate to. My reflection as a critical reflection is, how would we do this in a way that addresses the underlying emissions footprint of crypto? If we think about the fact that the single greatest increase in energy demand is the use, for example, of large language AI and the relationship with crypto, massive crypto footprint, how do we make this a place or an initiative that looks at the relationship between digital and green transition, or transformation, more importantly, not transition, as a place of constructive co-creation in that digital component being effectively sustainable? Because otherwise we have a principle of coherency that really needs to be addressed. So this becomes a space where we begin to convert and exchange and make that visible, because I think people don't understand how would you make something like this part of the solution comprehensively and not only at the surface level of exchange of stamps.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you very much. And perhaps to mention, we have a memorandum of understanding for collaboration on digital art for climate and innovative resource mobilization. So, and thanks for these points, also highlighting the carbon footprint of these emerging technologies like large language learning models and also Bitcoin. I am of the opinion that if the world would function, global community would function, this global heater would have been turned off. It's really an indicator of systems failure that one solution is using up 100 terawatt hours of energy per year. It's a total systems failure. Because there are other solutions for this kind of distributed ledger technologies, and yeah,
people need to understand that.
Yeah.
And this is a literacy building that is really important.
Yeah. But now a very important point. I would like to invite our guests from Kenya to join us here on the panel, because you are the ones that we are trying to work for and with, and so please join us here. That's Dolphine Magero and Caroline Oko from Kenya. You have been on our delegation sometimes. You have been often on our delegation, and we are now proud that you are members of the official Kenyan delegation. Dolphine is working on financial resources mobilization for youth. So it's exactly our topic, and we hope to work with you on some pilots, really bringing financial resources to the local level, to youth. If you could say your thoughts and present yourself a little bit.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'm excited. I don't know why I didn't come here. I don't know why I've been following this stamps NCQG. I think I have couple start there, then come right away. I like you the thought that you have and the heart that you have for young people, and I feel like having worked on the Youth Climate Fund, because I looked at the GCF, the GF, there isn't really a financial mechanism that is efficient for developing countries. It's even worse for young people. it's even harder for young people to just get financing for non-climate change things because you don't have collateral, nobody trusts you, young people are all these problems. So that's what inspired us to work with the Green Youth Climate Fund Institution, which Miros has been supporting even I'm here because of him every step of the way. And I feel like there is an immense opportunity when you talk about resource mobilization and tapping into existing funding entities such as the GCF, for example, because I feel like there is through the negotiations, through a lot of lobbying, there is space to basically explore, even at the national level, how can we use digital financing or digitized climate financing to create green jobs, especially for the African continent. And I feel like Africa is one of the biggest opportunity because that's the highest number of demographic of young people, highest level of unemployment, where adaptation is centrally focused. And for example, adaptation in Africa is just like, look at agriculture sector. Basically, there's a lot of food loss within the system. How can we take all these young people who are moving from the rural to urban, keep them in the rural areas, basically create jobs and also reduce the issue of food waste? So that is where I see so many areas of collaboration. I wanted to propose a strategy for Africa, basically digital, providing digital unlocking climate finance through digital technology for green jobs, especially for the African continent. Sorry, it was just a burning issue. I think coming back to her, sorry, I wanted to run away with you. I feel like I really echo, of course, with the rest of the panelists, I echo your sentiments and how, finding your niche and within the whole ecosystem. That's why I think we've been trying to I get a clear cut idea basically of what we try to float as the tech and innovation hub. But the innovation hub that we have basically, they're for sophisticated people like me and Caroline who've gone to school, who've gone to university, those smart gurus basically. What about the local communities, for example? So basically my question to all of you, first of all, how can your technologies, because you're talking about all this technology jargon that I don't understand, and it feels like they're fitted for people who have smartphones, but the target groups that we're looking to work with into what you call the youth climate finance barazas, they don't even have phones. They have the ones that you press basically. And I'm thinking about venturing into agriculture sector basically. If a farmer has that that mobile phone that someone presses, how can how can you harness the power of digital technology to harness the existing climate financing, basically, if that is out there, and other financing to support such young people? And the opportunity I see within that, because we have what we call the new collective quantified goal on climate finance, and they are making noise around why don't we invite ministerial, not just ministers, but also other other stakeholders, high level stakeholders. I feel like I don't know if there's a digital innovation or blockchain president somewhere. I don't know. You might be having one. It would be good. Or it's him. It would be good if you sit in that ministerial basically, because this is now the new climate change goal. The GCF was the 2015 goal basically with the 100 billion that was never met. But I feel like you need to be part of the discussion because the space is opening up, bringing the digital, the concept, the aspect of digitizing these issues of digital, because it really help. Because initially people didn't trust young people, but now donors don't trust even African continent because of issue of transparency. That's why I think our work is enhancing access and transparency, because it's half of the time is writing a good proposal, the other half is, do we trust you to trust you enough to give you money? So I feel like you need to, because they have this what we call the TED Talks, technical expert dialogues, and the high level ministerial, because it's supposed to conclude next year. So I feel like it should be ideal for the blockchain and this digital to be part of that high level, whatever they're going to call it, basically, so that they can bring in the component of digitizing, show how digitizing can enhance transparency, which is one of the issues that donors are having, of course, with the giving resources to support climate change. And I actually, just to conclude before I run away with everything, I feel like, yes, I think we need to, where the road meets the rubber is at the grassroots level. So when I went to Tana River County at the grassroots level, I had my laptop, I had a PowerPoint presentation. Then when I got there, we were seated under a tree, so there's no place to charge your laptop. Then I realized I have to change from English to Swahili, basically. So how can we make all these systems catalyze systemic change basically at the grassroots level, for people at the grassroots level who don't really, how do I say, who don't even speak English, who didn't finish primary school, basically, because they are the people who are going to solve this issue of climate change, as we're just facilitators, basically. So I feel like I really like your systemic way of thinking, where how can we build systems from the grassroots basically level? Because what we've proposed is what we call the it's called like a transparency bottom-up ladder. We have the grassroots youth climate finance baraza, then we have the sub county, then we have a county sort of governance system, because most of our issues with youth and Africa is just issues of governance. Solve governance issues, you're right. Then at the national level, how can we have a national youth climate change committee or council? Then at the Africa level, then at the global level, then lobby for, the 1% or 2% to go to basically at every level, supporting youth climate change activities, basically. And one of the key themes that could be green jobs, basically, for youth all across the system, from the grassroots level to the subnational, national, African, the global level. And I think it might not be realized, especially within the African continent, without the digital community and the blockchain community. So I think I'll stop there. But I really enjoy the session. I really enjoy the session.
I can tell you a little bit of my experience in Africa and some of the projects we're working on. So there are a lot of friction points, right? One of them is access to technology. The second one is language, like you mentioned. But there's a lot of other things that are still there. One is digitization needs the actual records, the existing ones, to be trusted, number one. And number two, digitally transformed to actual digital kind of record. And this will take one of two approaches: either forgetting the existing documents and starting from scratch. For example, identity. Instead of relying on identity documents, you can enroll yourself with your phone if you have a smartphone or a friend of, and we use agents as well for this. So through an agent, you can provide your, like if one person in a community has a smartphone, that agent can enroll people and give them digital identities without relying on their government identities. And we don't care what the name is, your identity will be your wallet. And your merit and your credit and your insurance will be tied to that unique identity, which is your wallet address. So your name will be associated with that wallet address, and your biometrics will be associated with that. So we're literally leapfrogging identity and record keeping by starting with a new record and moving from then forward. Another thing is access to telecommunications. So a lot of projects that are starting right now in Africa. One of them is World Mobile, for example, and they have a token, and they're starting by putting microcells in rural areas in Africa and providing 3-in-1 actually connectivity, access to electricity, so you can charge your laptop, as well as mobile phones for the community, and even refrigerators that can use very low, solar kind of energy. So you can transform communities from communities that were completely disconnected, completely literal, don't speak any other language, by just giving them internet access where they can self-learn about other languages and learn basic English and basic Arabic or whatever other language is in their region and they can do business with. And the third one is access to water. So people underestimate water. So if you just have electricity and connectivity without water, you cannot have a sustainable kind of ecosystem. So water, electricity, and digitization with connectivity are the basic needs. With that comes, of course, identity and having a local partner who has a little bit of tech, whether it's a laptop or a mobile phone, and can be the custodian of those investments. So they have to have buy-in. For example, the leader of a community can be the person who is the agent and who is controlling the cell tower, so it's not stolen. His role is also the education within the community. And we've tried these in rural villages that are fishing villages, and it worked. We tried it in agricultural villages, and it worked. So it works as long as you have a buy-in from the local community. And that's just the first step. And when people taste this positive change in their lives, they stay longer hours at night because they have electricity now. They stay tied to that physical space, and that physical space goes from like 20 or 30 people to 200, 300 very quickly, because the nearby villages go around this area where there's connectivity and electricity and refrigeration for fishing villages and things like that. So this could be completely transformational for these kind of places, and have access to people coming to them and going from them. Becomes even logistically a stopping point for travelers or travel who otherwise will just pass through. You know, all these kind of changes come from a very small kind of enabler, but it is not the physical enabler, it is a mental change as well, and an ability and lifestyle change completely.
Yeah, just speaking from that, I'm a member of the Kenyan delegation and I look at action for climate empowerment. And I agree with you that behavior change is quite transformative. And for example, in the agriculture sector, we had transformation growth strategy, and the farmers were to use mobile phones. And just the idea, acceptance before it was done. And right now it has really helped because the government was able to move fertilizers and the funds and using the same concept you're saying, maybe one or two people have access and then they coalesce. So, and we've been trying to push for a national, society-led change. And finally, we've met Ministry of Interior and National Administration, which can coordinate the whole country at any given time. For example, very recently, we had a one-day tree growing, and that ministry was able to coordinate the whole country from wherever, fishermen, farmers, everybody. And they're also going to be through schools, and that's what we are looking at. If we can have the local action at that level using such a ministry, which is, it has a system from village level to the national level. So in terms of any action that we identify, it is able to coordinate that, and we'll be able to see the results. And we are going to work with Miro. We want to do one or two things, and then it can be outscaled to other countries. Thank you.
Wow. So I think we are in agreement that the approach makes sense and that we will work on this together. So in terms of next steps is that we will put together a concept note, 2-pager or so, and that we have then in the around mid of December, so within the next 10 days or so, that we have a call, video conference to agree on the action plan. Because there's an opportunity end of January in New York. There is the UN Partnership Forum. And that's where the UN system is highlighting initiatives that are trying to help the UN system. Multi-stakeholder partnership is the formula since Rio Plus 20 conference in 2012. This has been very much promoted. And we have already confirmed a side event to this partnership forum, and I'm going to be in New York. We could potentially collaborate with the UAE mission, that they would organize us a room at the UN headquarters, and that we there present this kind of thinking with a concrete action plan towards the Universal Postal Union Congress in 2025, that we have an action plan. So the action plan, so this would be some kind of presentation of the plan, and that we then have a series of in-person and hybrid meetings with potential partners, also with other post authorities from around the world, to make an outline of the technology and data ecosystem that is needed for this to function. Because it's a lot of work needed to build this reporting and transparency systems, and connect it with the UN system, so that we have there a better understanding of how the solution in detail looks like, and to see who is ready to invest which kind of funding. So our proposal or suggestion would be that the UAE stakeholders, that they help us in this first phase of forming the outline of the architecture of the project and the platform and everything. So, and then that we have then opportunity for other countries to sign on with a letter of intent or so, and then we, with these additional partners, look how we finance really the tech development, and that we have this tech development somehow on two levels, some kind of tech stack. One is the pre-competitive level, where we have work on the digital identity solutions, action reporting, and yeah, the registry, and then another level, which is then where competitive or private structure, that we think how we set it up, which will then support the national post authorities in implementing these solutions. But in general, our approach is to have a lot of our work open source, because the world does not have time. And if we work open source, then we have an innovation space where quickly other ideas and solutions add on, and we get to good results early. Yeah, so first that you put into your calendar, save the date, end of January, New York. You in person is fine. It has a carbon footprint. Virtual will be also made possible. We will put the event also on UN Web TV, so that we have a milestone placed. Then the second milestone will be the UN Summit of the Future. There we want to have it as a systemic solution, presented as a systemic solution to the UN system. And then the COP29 in Azerbaijan, we would offer to the UAE Post Authority, Dubai Blockchain Center, to be a co-host, and having their possibility to have more programs and visibility for presenting this. And then 2025, the working solution. Dr. Marwan.
September is the COP29 next year. When is it exactly?
November, December. Yeah. You have to go. Okay. Yeah. We also have to go. Yeah, let's make another photo, perhaps outside.